Okay, so now we have the debian.social BoF. So we have Jonathan, Rhonda, and Stefano over here, and a few people also here. Maybe they will like to jump in as well. So they'll be talking about what they have been doing and maybe make plans for what they're going to do next. So let's begin.
Who shall do the introduction?
Yeah, anyone can.
I can. Can you switch to the tab with the...
Is your mic on?
My mic was on.
Has it?
Does that look fine to you?
That looks alive. Are you getting a headset too?
1, 2, 1, 2. I could hear myself.
There we go.
There we go. Now the audience can hear us too. I think online it was fine. Can you switch to the wiki page for debian.social? Thank you. Because that gives us a nice introduction as well. So basically we're a team of people who maintain services from the Fediverse. And I guess at this point it's a good idea to explain what the Fediverse is. So we have lots of big social networking sites out there, YouTube, Facebook, let's call it Twitter for now. And in one part, for a long time, we didn't want to rely on these proprietary services that could be sold to anyone at a whim or change their policies at a whim. We've been through some cycles of this in the past, and we know that keeping your whole digital future with these companies is not a good idea. And initially, in the late 2000s, things like Identica came about, video hosting services that you could self-host. But all of these ended up being islands on their own. So you would upload your content to these, and no one would ever know it's there or read it, which wasn't ideal. So over the years, they developed this protocol called ActivityPub and built a Fediverse on it. And the idea is that you have a common set of protocols between services that you self-host so that they aren't islands, so that you can have a microblogging platform, a video hosting platform, or pretty much anything really, and that they can share data between each other. Is that a good description, or is there something that I'm missing? Because that's I've limited understanding of the ActivityPub protocol specifically. But
yes, practically the ActivityPub protocol gives you an instance where you have an inbox and an outbox, and you can post whatever messages you do there. Different services use it for different purposes, like video, photo, blogging, depending on size also. But it's mostly, yes, the activity protocol is the thing that makes it the distributed part, makes it the intercommunication work between different servers to connect them to each other and exchange information through.
So there's a Debian Fediverse team. That's not us. They want to work on packaging Fediverse services. We're on the other side. For debian.social, we want to host these services for Debian people. So more of hosting and maintaining services than packaging stuff. There's a few services that's live at the moment. We have microblogging. That's called Pleroma. It's like similar to Mastodon.
Yep.
We have PixelFed, which is a PixelFed is basically an Instagram clone. So if you're asking where can I upload my DebConf photos, that's a good place to upload it. And you should also encourage other people at DebConf to join PixelFed, whether it's Debian's instance or one of the many hundreds of instances that's already out there. It doesn't actually matter where you host it, but it makes it easier to share it with each other on an open platform. PeerTube is quite big. We have one of the biggest PeerTube instances out there, mostly because we upload all the DebConf videos to it, and with the start of the pandemic, lots of people watched old DebConf videos, and even old DebConf videos that no one should watch, like how to set up a SIP server from 2006, got tons of hits, but it was hopelessly outdated, but people still watched it. PeerTube also got this new ability to do streaming, so you can live stream an event like this even to PeerTube, except that we've struggled with setting it up with the VM that we run it in the networking. So we got a physical host just before DebConf, and in the next week or so we'll move it over to the physical host, which would make all the networking a lot easier, and then hopefully we'll have the streaming activated as well. So when there's many DebConfs, it might make it easier when they have a very small and basic video setup. They can just stream to PeerTube instead of something more complicated potentially. Shall I go through all the services? I guess not. I guess most people will be familiar with these services or can go click on them for more information. Lemmy is quite interesting because it's basically a Reddit clone. It might be very nice for local teams or just for sharing information for stuff that's interesting between Debian developers. So that's probably the next one we're setting up. I did it halfway just before DebConf, but ran into some troubles that I'll have to figure out a bit later.
Yeah. We also run services which are not directly powering ActivityPub, but are useful to have around, like Matrix, which is also sort of a federated service, but not connected with the Fediverse itself. But it's one of these services that is widely accepted and used fairly well, and we also bridge ISC channels to it. So if you have any requests for that, just drop us a note. And Funkwhale is something that I would like to look into, especially for audio sharing, like doing podcast stuff there or something else. Might be interesting. And I'm not sure if it's Mobilison or if it's another instance. There another service name software which is there for scheduling, for making events visible, and that might actually be very helpful to have all the free software events surrounding Debian collected in there, making them visible so people can look into that.
Yeah, Mobilizon is basically a meetup.com clone.
Okay, then I'm confusing the name.
It does both. It does events and scheduling. So also potentially nice for local teams and local events and coordinating events in Debian in general. Yeah.
Personally, I also looked recently in the last few weeks into Oncast, which is a federated streaming platform similar to Twitch, but it's just single user instances, so it might be tricky to get it in, and our hopes are more towards having that covered by PeerTube, and hopefully with the new server the streaming would work there fairly well.
Oh, did we skip the team part of the introduction?
We did.
Okay.
Yes, the three of us are currently the team, plus Kyle, who is missing in action because of a new job. So that's us, so to say, currently present here, plus Kyle.
And potentially soon Sergio. He just said before the time he'd like to join us and help out.
That would be nice, yes.
And Anarcat has been helping with Matrix.
Yeah. Cool, what's next? Current status of services?
So I put the Matrix stuff up at the top because Matrix is always a little bit tricky. The Matrix packages have been stalling for a while, but they just got updated recently. I think after 6 months of being stalled. So now we need to get a new backport of Synapse and we can upgrade our server. We got to the point where there was a security issue in the IRC bridge. We had to upgrade the IRC bridge, and the new version of it specifically broke against old Synapse versions because they were trying to change some protocols. And we had to find the relevant bits of code and change it back and make it work. It would be nice to get onto something supportable again. Also in Matrix, we are constantly running out of disk space. Every 6 months or so, we end up going into the Hetzner control panel and doubling the size of the volume for the Postgres database. There isn't really any solution to this upstream yet. There are hopes that they'll get better at being able to throw away old data, but it's complicated.
Matrix is weird because the Matrix users expect the server to log all their conversations and for it to be there, which is just a bit counterintuitive for me, who's been used to RFC all these years, where you log your own stuff if you want to. I nearly deleted all the chat logs older than a month on our instance, and there was lots of, not to be derogatory, but lots of freaking out about this because people didn't want to lose their chat history.
And worse than that, it breaks rooms. If you delete certain events, so the Matrix protocol is like a history, a log of events for each room, and many of those events are configuration events for rooms. If you lose one of those, the room can be completely broken and unresurrectable.
Yeah. So I suppose we just have to hope that the increase in disk space sizes over the next few years keep matching the amount that the chat keeps growing on the instance.
We definitely don't have the biggest Matrix instance out there. It's probably a medium-sized one.
Yeah.
So other people are running into these problems first, but we still hit it. I see a question from the audience here. Can we get a mic?
Hello. Hi. So, I don't want to turn this into a Matrix BoF, but I have a few questions about the Matrix and about Matrix, not the Matrix. So the first one is about the Debian packages. We're constantly lagging behind. Sometimes, like as you said, like 6 months or so. And as we all know, like Matrix is more often than not discovering security vulnerabilities, and we have to, just make sure that we're running the latest version. So, have you guys considered using non-Debian packages? Like I understand that may be a
No. We used to in the early days,
Okay.
and then when the Debian packages got good enough, we switched to them because it's much simpler, and we'd be supporting the team doing this work, which is fine until they started stalling.
Exactly. Cool.
And there's multiple issues there. There was a Debian freeze, there was a maintainer that got busy, and these packages, I think, are quite a lot of maintenance work.
Yes.
So then maybe the answer here is to get some more help in the package maintenance from the people who are looking after this instance, because we benefit from it.
Right.
Currently, the Synapse server is running from the package, but the IRC bridge is not, and the Mjolnir instance is not.
And Element, the web interface,
Is also not, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a big mishmash.
Yeah, okay. And the other question is about the storage. You mentioned that the disk space is always an issue. So have you guys considered using like I forgot the name of the service, but it's like Backblaze or Backblaze or whatever, like it's external storage that you can like sync to it. And there is actually a Matrix plugin or whatever that you can set up, and you can like outsource your storage to somewhere else, and it's pretty cheap. So
I think we consider that to be on our to-do list.
Okay. Okay.
That's the best answer I can give on that one, because we currently host it at Hetzner Cloud, so it's easy to add on more storage, box storage, as long as we have budget available for that. So now and then we have to tell Debian Switzerland, can you please bump our budget on there? But we want something more a long-term, better solution.
Right.
In recent times, we just haven't had time to really invest in that.
There's also an in-between option, which is just moving it to a dedicated box with a load more disk space, and then we're probably fine for a few years.
Yeah, if you add like, at some point it doesn't make sense adding more storage to a VM there.
I agree.
Well, you know, because you've set up debuginfo.de.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 16 terabyte disks that you use there, at some point it just makes sense to do that, and then we know we're good for a few years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just say that because I run my own Matrix service as well, and I have considered those options because I had the same problem, like growing databases and media storage and all.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
Kurt was raising an arm,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah.
So as far as I know, there's only one person currently working on the Synapse package, and he's looking for help.
Yes, I think so. If anyone is interested in Matrix, helping out on that team is probably greatly appreciated. And yeah, we should probably do some more of that now that we are more familiar with the packages. You know how this starts. In the early days, you just set something up from Git, and then over time, you learn more and more about what the pieces are, how they fit together, and maybe you can become a useful package manager at that point, a package maintainer. Anything else on Matrix?
From my side.
So the next item we have here is adding SSO to more services. Currently, where it's possible to use GitLab SSO, we do, and in some services, okay, we're using it for 2 out of many. There are a few more that we could possibly integrate SSO with. This is probably something where anyone can help. If you know what the configuration is, talk to us.
Yeah.
Also, we need to keep in mind to how to reasonably transition from the current user base to the SSO, so that account information and data doesn't get lost in that, which is something that sort of happened for me with Matrix. I created my Rhonda user before we had SSO, and when I signed up to SSO, I created an additional Rhonda 1 user. So that's something we would like to avoid with other services.
Yeah. I think with Matrix we were SSO almost from day one, so it
Very
was
early.
just the admin accounts that were
I
special.
think
Yeah.
Rhonda created that account like hours before the SSO got activated.
Yeah.
And then we noticed this months or years later. There's a fork of Pleroma that we should probably look at.
Yes, some people asked specifically about moving to the different code base. I think the fork is more active to some degree. Pleroma still does its releases, but they're mostly security bug fix releases, so that might be something to look into. Potentially, we might also think about switching to a different microblogging platform. Nowadays, it sort of like some other things came up, and especially the Fediverse, the activity protocol now offers account migration, so you can move over to a new account on a different service and take all your followers with you, because it sends out sort of notifications for that, and you don't lose your follower base and who you follow yourself through the migration. So that might be also a possibility that we use there.
Can I ask a question about microblogging? So I'm assuming you're referring to Mastodon as well, like as an alternative. So I'm interested to know how you deal with like, I forgot the term, sorry. Making sure that the community behaves well, like, because like if you like we have many users in Debian, and I don't know if the intention would be to open the registration for everyone, but then you have to like make sure that everybody is
Sure. Moderation is a thing that we sort of talked about before, but never really had to do very much about. But it it's one of the things that I personally wanted to look more into, how the administration interface of Pleroma works in that way. Potentially, Mastodon has an easier moderation interface to work with, so that might also be one of the reasons to switch over.
We have a few basic things that we do, like when you sign up for an account, you have to agree to the Debian code of conduct and that kind of things. And also, Pleroma does at least have report buttons. Now and again we get a report, usually from someone from outside our instance who posted something, and then we can either block them from our instance or block their whole instance. Usually if there's a few bad people at an instance, it's worthwhile blocking that whole instance. And at least the admin tools have been sufficient so far. We haven't had any major problems that I know of over the last few years.
PeerTube had quite a lot of comment spam in the early days. I haven't noticed any in a while. Matrix, as people are using it more and more, we're seeing more spam, but Mjolnir works, and when things are reported, we stomp on them and block the user. And we share our block lists with other groups, so it seems to be working fairly well.
I think the people who develop these services are tend to be veterans in dealing with troublemaker kind of people and and are prepared.
And with respect to blocking instances or moderating them on Pleroma, I'm following some of the discussions. There is the FediBlock hashtag where people speak about instances that host specifically users that are disrespectful or hurtful and discriminatory directly. So watching these spaces is something that I do through other means already, yeah.
Yeah, as Jonathan mentioned earlier, we have a new physical server for PeerTube. We just need to do some work. I also asked the question here, is there anything we want to shut down?
Yes.
I don't.
Well,
I didn't say that because I wanted to shut anything down. I just wanted us to think about it.
I wanted us to think about too, because I think Plume.
there is Plume and Write Freely, which both are sort of a blogging platform where you can write longer essays, and it also supports like markdown syntax, text things. But actually they never really managed to get used that much, and also the development doesn't seem to move anywhere. So potentially there might be targets to get shut down.
They're
At
nice
some
in
point.
concept, but people ask for account and then make one post and then.
Yeah. I'm not sure how active is WordPress used.
There's a few users that
Okay.
use it. They don't post to Planet Debian. I encourage them to do so, but not all of them want to.
And I've seen through a WordPress site that I use for one of my organizations, I'm in the board, the ActivityPub plugin there works fairly well for sending out the articles so people get notified about them. So it might make sense to just tell people to use WordPress instead.
I actually don't know very much about our WordPress. Is that one WordPress per user, or?
It's a WordPress instance with multi-site.
Okay.
So we have a wildcard subdomain. So
Right.
no, sorry, it's the other way around. We'd have a /user, and then one instance for many people. There's also something I want to look at for my own WordPress instance. Is you can replace the WordPress comment section with Mastodon comments, so people can reply from Mastodon to your blog, which seems quite nice. I haven't checked at what moderation features that have. That's probably the only concern I have, because I don't want spam or certain people to comment on my blog without me having control of it. And if that works, maybe we can use it for our WordPress instance here too. Any
Mike?
recall?
Hi, batting eyelids. Could we have discuss?
Discuss.
The comment system.
Yeah, the forum, like the modern forum system. Discourse, sorry.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
I just can't.
Discuss is a proprietary commenting system.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't.
That's fine.
Discord,
I was-
discuss that one.
Okay.
It's been tried before as a potential replacement for lists. It didn't go well because you don't break tradition in Debian. But having it for teams that decide that they would prefer it to a mailing list, having it to discuss Debian enhancement proposal in some experimental basis, I would like to have it as an option because there are things that the mailing lists are painful for.
Yeah.
And for specific users, it may be really interesting, especially now that Python is using it extensively, GNOME is using it extensively, Fedora, I think, also.
Ubuntu as well.
Ubuntu, yeah. So, yeah, it's getting a lot of adoption. People are getting used to have it. It would be interesting to.
I think hosting it is not the difficult part, but we probably need someone who can drive the actual processes behind it, and user engagement and getting people to use it actively. And
So yeah, before this talk, I was in the live coding, and they were struggling to set up mailing lists to do community co-work on it. And I was like, what if there were some disk asterisk instance? Would that work? And they were like, yeah, sure. So like instead of creating some list aliot Debian or whatever for some packaging team, maybe there's a packaging team that would be very happy with this course. And having it available could be like, hey, you could try that.
Yeah.
And see how adoption goes.
It helps having a user for it to start somewhere, and then you can iron kinks out as well. And then it's easier to sell it to the project on an ongoing basis, where I think the past effort was trying to be more top-down. They were saying, we want to build this and everyone should switch to this, and then people were like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, don't try to replace lists for Debian, because then we create panic. But for specific users, would be great.
Even like for voting for artwork, the poll system we used is a bit complicated to set up, and even to interpret the data afterwards. I was surprised at how you have to be like a statistician to to analyze the data. And if you have a simple voting system, then the users understand how they vote, and the admins can easily tell, okay, this is clearly the popular winner. Yeah, I think it could be good. Not sure if it would necessarily be on debian.social or debian.net, but that's probably a more of a minor issue. You just want an instance for discourse, basically.
I'd love it to be on debian.org, and but yeah, and automatically get discuss thread for bugs. But no, that's in my head. So no, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I like the idea. I just one of the criticisms about this course is how web-centric it is and how difficult. It offers, it tries to offer support for like email discussions or whatever, but it's almost impossible to follow. So, I mean, I'm more of a terminal type of guy, but I work at Canonical, so I have to use this course. And but yeah, I like the idea. I understand that some people really prefer that, and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, personally, I struggle with this course too, but I imagine that if I was forced to learn to use it, I could get the hang of it.
Yeah.
I think it helps that it's been through Fedora and Canonical and all of these other organizations who are similar to us, because its features have probably hammered out to suit our needs a bit better. When I last looked at it, I looked at its email features and I thought, this is not sufficient for me. But this was like 3 or 4 years ago, so I imagine it has improved quite a lot since then.
Yeah, and I know that there's things that I need to follow in months. I know that there are some kind of discussions which I can't have anymore if there's no reactions to messages.
Yeah.
It's quite important for some parts of consensus building to see that somebody got a lot of likes and some message got a lot of likes, some message didn't, and focus efforts on continuing those threads, yeah, I really struggle with mailing list discussions that don't have that in some topics.
Yeah, this happens on mailing lists quite easily because people don't like to add a +1 or anything message because it's just adding to the volume. But if it would be just a thumb up button in the discourse,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I even have a design in mind to do likes on mailing list with a link that tracks on a website and then a math plugin that gets the like and puts it at the bottom. But then I was like, wow, seriously, no.
Any other new service discussions? One other thing that came to mind is we've had requests from the Brazilian team to have Telegram to Matrix bridging. And what we've heard of that is that it's not a great experience.
I currently run the Telegram to Matrix bridge for them because I'm Brazilian. So,
Right.
and I host it in my Matrix server. So, but I think it would be good. But there are like concerns about because, for example, the bridge works in a way that you have to have an account associated with a Telegram account.
Yes.
And then, like, we're currently using the account of one of the members. He was kind enough to provide. So I don't know how it will work for like a community, like just.
We would have to have a community-owned account, I imagine.
So would it mean every Matrix user would have to have an
No,
Telegram
no,
account?
no.
Not the other way around.
Yeah, like
Okay.
this person has a Telegram account and they linked the Telegram account to the bridge so that it can bridge the messages.
What's your experience of running the bridge been like? Is it
It's very stable.
okay? And moderation hasn't been a problem.
No, but then again, like we have the bridge in 2 channels, I think, and they're pretty close, tight-knit channels, so there's not like
And I think,
much people from
given
outside.
that the DebConf attendees Telegram chat is already sort of moderated, you have to be accepted to join it. That sort of yes, there's a waiting list where you need to get approved when you want to join the Telegram chat.
On the Matrix side, you can just join, as far as I know.
Is that one bridged?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't even know it was bridged
And
to
it's
Matrix.
even in the Matrix space of Debian,
Okay.
of DebConf.
So I think as long as the Telegram chat is moderated and has this only accept people and an admin team looking out for it, it might work.
On new services, there's a tool called Lumio that's specifically for decision making. Like if we want to do some simple voting or even probably more complex voting.
What did you say the name was?
Lumio, Loomio.
I don't know it. Let me just quickly look.
Yeah.
Yep.
Involve people.
Free software community of India has one.
Try Lumio for free. That doesn't seem very assuring.
we have a Salesforce instance in India.
Yep.
It's AGPL.
Free, run your own server. There we go.
And SSO.
Okay. We can look at this.
Add it to the list.
Okay. Another one for podcasting. I've been hearing of a tool called Castapod on the Fediverse.
What did you say it was called?
Castapod, Castapod. Pod, as in
POD.
podcast. Okay.
Yeah, I heard about Caspot too. It's Funkwhale is more like audio sharing in general, but Caspot is something that's specifically targeted as hosting podcasts, so that it has all this glue in to connect to all these podcast applications and sending things out through that. So
Sounds nice.
I stumbled upon it a few months ago, but didn't dig yet into it. But thanks for the reminder. I'm very keen to look at that.
In the IRC, someone just mentioned that Framasoft has something for voting as well regarding the Lumio thing. Framasoft may be having something similar as well. They haven't mentioned the name, but yeah.
Okay.
And regarding the discussion about the discourse, someone has been saying that in discourse you don't have to reveal your email address, but in mailing list you may have to. So some people may not feel comfortable sharing that.
I can see that being a concern for some people. Yeah.
Do we need to talk about data policies? I see a Jonathan in the room. These services host a lot of fairly personal data.
For the most part, we rely on the services that implement the legal policies, like PixelFed specifically goes to large efforts to comply with all the local legislations all over the world. For the rest, it's kind of the jungle. Maybe we need to task getting Jonathan involved and getting a tour of of everything that we do, and then he can point out where we could be better. That sounds like a useful thing to do.
You said a Jonathan, which is fine by me.
Maybe a specific Jonathan. We won't tell you which one yet.
We can't force anyone to do anything.
Indeed. What else is on the agenda?
Growing the team. And my last item I put in there was a joke, because people keep coming into #debian.social thinking it's a social channel, and they say, "Hi, what are you working on?" Like social stuff.
We recycled the RC channel name. It used to say Channel for Social Discussions, Debian Social Discussions. So we renamed it later on, but for a long time people, there was some confusion.
There still is.
I don't want to maintain a chit-chat channel on
Neither do I.
RC, so I don't know if someone wants to step up and do that, you're welcome. Otherwise, I think we won't do it.
I believe it's called #Debian.
Yeah. Curiosa, Debian Curiosa
Oh.
is also there.
Yeah.
Or #DebConf.
Yes.
It's our most social channel anyway.
I mean, we could arguably name our channel #DebianSocial Team, but
Okay.
does that actually help anything? It's not really a problem.
And people would think they're not wanted if they're not part of the team.
Also true. So growing the team. We've pulled in Anarcat to help with Matrix.
You also want to do some sysadmin stuff, monitoring eventually, and stuff like that.
Soji would like to join. Anyone else who's interested in...
Q is and
Maybe we could convince a certain Jonathan.
He's not amused.
At least as a consultant.
Kurt?
Okay. Kurt.
We actually used most of our session time. How did that happen?
I don't know, it's a miracle.
So, is there any final requests, questions that you kept back?
This is about SSO. Does anybody who has a Salsa account, they can log into most of the services?
Yes.
And are there some services which are not yet wired up with SSO?
Yeah, on the wiki page, you'll see there's a column that says how we log in. And where so if you see native, I think that means it uses
The
service
column
zero.
about authentication on the far right
Yeah.
side, there's currently only PeerTube and Matrix
That's-
using Salsa as authentication. And yes, I should be working on Pleroma to authenticate through Salsa. But yeah, that's what I need to figure out, how to connect the current accounts with the Salsa account before enabling SSO so that the current data isn't lost.
Enrico?
One thing, does it? Okay. One thing that could be done is to match the primary verified email of Salsa against the email you have in your local database, only for account matching purposes. Then you link to the actual Salsa ID, because Salsa, you can always change the email. And document that when you log in with Salsa the first time, make sure the emails match. It's hacky, but it seems like a reasonably simple solution that we've evaluated for other stuff.
Assuming we can easily add some things into the SSO plugin to do that, yeah.
Well, no, the SSO plugin on your, because Salsa would give you that information.
Yeah, but we'd have to customize the plugin to make it do that.
I may have outdated information about Jitsi, the Jitsi instance, but now that Jitsi, or Jit.si requires authentication to actually create rooms and all, is our instance up to date or is it outdated? We use it for like the Debian Brasilia meetings every week and all. My impression is that it's a bit outdated, but
that sounds quite likely.
We update it regularly, so it should be up to date. I'll check that after the talk as well, just for what it's worth. But we tend to be quite up to date. What other ones? Jitsi might move to jitsi.debian.net too. The reason why it ended up here was because we didn't have any structure to host it via any other method. So, but yeah, we can maintain that too, and maybe that will help.
Cool.
Keep it up to date. But it's updated very regularly. So if it's out of date, maybe we're on another support update channel that can be changed. We can look into that.
Thanks.
Our Jitsi also has a VoIP interface. You can dial into it through Asterisk. Asterisk didn't make Bookworm.
Yeah.
So if we want to keep that alive, we might have to jump through some hoops.
I upgraded that host to Bookworm, so I'm not sure if that still works. Okay.
So we are currently out of time. You will likely hear from us soon. Maybe a Devil announce mail about when Pleroma PeerTube is up and running, to give that more tests and other things. But thanks for attending and thanks for the questions.
Thank you.